now, your main event. Introducing the hosts of Wrestling with Freddie, Jeff Dye, and Freddie Prinze Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Friends, Wrestling with Freddie. I'm Freddie Prinze Jr. With me, as always, is the great Jeff Jackpot. How are you, sir?
Feeling
good day.
Feeling good. Feeling happy. How you feeling, bub?
Fantastic, sir. I'm going to be cooking for the family tonight. We have a farm stand in our backyard that's all hydroponics. And for those who don't know, that's like no soil. We use these like these coconut husk things, and it sort of self-waters in this tower and recycles the water, and we just feed it like nutrients once a week. And we grow this crazy crop all the time, from tomatoes to zucchini, basil and kale and lettuce and strawberries. I picked some jalapenos this morning off the top shelf of it because they're light. I'm telling you, we can cook anything. So tonight I'm going to make some soup. I harvested some bok choy. Mm-hmm. It's like an Asian leafy green, and some, onions, but I didn't grow the onions. Some spinach that's also from the farm stand. Some kale, also from the farm stand. A whole bunch of mushrooms from the farmer's market. I don't have like a log that grows mushrooms, and if I did, it wouldn't be that kind, bro. And then I'm going to cook it all down and make my wife this vegetable soup. For my kids, I'm doing ground beef and ground chicken lettuce cups, which is another like Asian dish. And I do that with some onions, some yellow peppers, red peppers, and green peppers, sesame oil and soy sauce. Wrap it up in a leaf of lettuce, shove it in your face hole, eat it up. And that's dinner for the Prinze family in the fall. What about you, dude? Are you doing the same thing?
No, I've never harvested anything. I don't know what the heck all that crap is. I want to just come to your house. That's what's going to happen. You're just going to get a knock at your door at 7 p.m. I'd be like, did I miss dinner?
I always make too much, so you absolutely can.
You know what I do is I go to this little company. I'm not going to tell you which company, or I'll tell you, but I'm not going to put it on here because it's not a commercial. This company just makes these little things. They leave them at my house every Monday. I open them up. I put them in the fridge, and every meal I just put it in the microwave, and then I eat it. I'm literally living out of a microwave pre-made crap for the last...
It's not crap. They make fresh food, and I know people that do those food prep plans. There's nothing. Pro fighters use those to get in shape. It's not crap. Don't sell yourself short,
It's not as good as kale and strawberries and grapes and mushrooms that you make. I mean, you're naming all this great crap over there.
Yeah, man. Cook it. If it's from your house, if you have the space and you can do it, it's always going to be better, man. My kids eat everything. All right. Done talking about the weak stuff, man. Cooking. Who cares about stupid ass cooking? It's time to talk about cool stuff like professional wrestling. And we're going back in time a bit, but then we're going to sort of fantasy explore as well. Back in the day when WCW and WWE were going on, fans always talked about like, the big one, the main one was, what if Sting went to WWF? Like that was the big one, at least for me and all my friends, because that was the one that got away.
What was the reason he never did? Was he just a company guy, or is there some story? I mean, I'm sure it's not a secret. The internet's probably talked about this a billion times, but why didn't he come over?
What I heard is he was a company guy.
Okay.
That was the story that I heard, but there may be a million other ones out there. So hit us up on our socials if we get anything wrong. But if we got that wrong, hit us up. So I thought we would talk about sort of the modern roster of AEW and the modern roster of WWE, and give you a few. I'll pitch a few to you. You can pitch a few to me on if you think they would do better in AEW or better in WWE. What do you think? You want to play this game?
Let's do it. Sounds fun. Also, this is a thing that happened all the time when we were young. So it's like, there'd be Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. There was DC and there was Marvel, right? And so you'd always be like, wouldn't it be cool if Sub-Zero fought Ryu? You know, like if they made a game, why don't they just make a game where it's Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter? Or why don't they just make a game where it's DC versus Marvel? And now that we're older and now the people that run stuff are our age, we have become the people that make things. You see stuff like that all the time. But at the time, it was so exciting when Hulk Hogan and all these guys were coming over to WCW. You're like, what? Like they're doing it. They're mixing wrestling like this. So now it's not as exciting for everybody because it just whatever. But It didn't used to always be like this. We can say that.
That's so dead on the way you broke that down. Because like when we were kids, everybody would say who would win, Iron Man or Batman. For the record, the answer is always Batman. But that fantasy was there all the time. They would give us like sort of, inter-brand fights. I remember like Wolverine and the Hulk fought a couple times, and Captain America and the Hulk fought a couple times. But you never could get that crossover stuff because, well, people wanted to protect their characters and protect their brands. But Ryu versus Sub-Zero, as soon as you said that, I had like this crazy flashback of my friends and I arguing who would win, Ryu or Sub-Zero. That's insane.
Because we would think about it all
the
time.
So who would win, Sting or Shawn Michaels?
We didn't understand, or at least I can't speak for you or anyone else, but I didn't know that there was like, oh, there's a big company that owns Marvel and they're competing with the people that own DC. I didn't think of it like that. I just go, if everyone wants the game Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter, why did they just make that game? And it was like, my little brain couldn't understand it. And now I realize it's kind of gross that these companies compete with each other and hate each other. But Mortal Kombat's done a good job of like bringing guys. Like every game has like a Terminator or like a Spawn is in Mortal Kombat or the...
Yeah. They tried to get my wife in Mortal Kombat, but they couldn't afford her.
You're kidding. What is she thinking?
They couldn't, bro. She's got her price, dog.
You know how cool it would be to have her in that
when
game?
she did Call of Duty, that set a certain precedent, and they couldn't afford her, man.
Here's a fun side quest.
My wife's the shit, bro. She's the truth. She don't play. She knows her worth.
I love it, but I would have loved to be her in a video game. That's why I'm mad about it.
Yeah, and I would love to beat her ass.
Yeah, we could beat her up. It'd be cool. A little side quest that maybe not everyone knows is when they originally made Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter was the game. Like it was already popular. And I think Tekken predates it too. And there was like these other like fighting games kind of became this thing. There was like 2 dinosaurs that fight. Whatever that game was.
Oh, that's right. Primal Instinct. Primal Rage.
So these fighting games were like all the thing. And a lot of kids, Jeff Jackpot Die for sure, was like, oh, it's all about graphics. The graphics are so good. Look how good the graphics are. It was a word I used every other word. I was going, graphics. Have you seen the graphics? The graphics are okay.
I'm a sucker for that too.
Especially at that age. And so they made this game called Mortal Kombat. And it was the first one that ever used like photographs of the fighters in different like positions as opposed to a cartoon like Street Fighter. And they didn't know if that was going to be popular or not. They didn't know if it would take off. And it was also, they were like, we're going to be the bloodiest, and we're also going to have like real images of actors doing the thing instead of drawings. So they wanted one character who was kind of like a Hollywood douchebag, and we now know him as Johnny Cage, but they originally reached out to Jean-Claude Van Damme, and they're like, we'll use your name. We'll call him Jean-Claude. He'll be like this like Hollywood character that's in Mortal Kombat. Like we'll use your actual thing and your actual likeness. And he was like, he was said yes initially, but because his movie was being turned into a video game, whatever the movie, he had a few action movies, but what was the big one? Do you remember?
Well, Bloodsport was the first. Yeah.
Whatever, let's say it's Bloodsport.
Not the first. Black Eagle was the first. And then there was another one in there too. No Retreat, No Surrender. But like the first one where he was the lead was Bloodsport.
I think it was Bloodsport. And so he was like, well, I can't really do that. And then I think my game is going to be, he had no idea that Johnny Cage would become the leading man of movies, the cartoons, the animation, the everything. So that was supposed to be Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Dude, that's insane. Van Damme's had a crazy career. This is all going to be one big side quest. He's had a wild career. Like he was hated by the martial arts community.
Oh, really?
Like the legit guys. Oh, my Godfather and Gene LaBelle and Chuck Norris. And they all challenged him to fights. He would never fight him because his karate wasn't legit. Like he wasn't a real black belt.
Well, I know that directors and producers hated him because he wasn't a good actor. They're like, we have stunt guys that can do this crap who actually... and then we'll have an actor read the lines. And do
you don't know if I can act or not. Okay, my acting is fantastic. I liked Bloodsport. I thought he was good in it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, they would literally go back to the production company and be like, hey, this guy can barely read. This guy he has no acting abilities whatsoever. But the reason he got booked is because he waited at the hotel lobby of this production company called Electric Boogaloo. And he basically walked up to these crazy guys and did like a big flying kick in the air. And they were like, this guy's going to be a star. So then they just put him in their movie.
And he could do the splits, bro.
That is, the splits are his go-to, which would have been pretty cool. It's not a coincidence that Johnny Cage does the splits and hits you in the balls. That's a Jean-Claude Van Damme staple.
Straight out of Bloodsport when he hits the sumo wrestler, Pow, right in the nutsack. I'm going to throw a few AEW names at you, and you tell me how you think they would fare in WWE. I'm going to start with the easiest, and I also want to make sure we have time to get to all of these. Maxwell, Jacob, Friedman. How high do you think he could go in WWE? To the top, US, IC? For me, it's easy. You guys, everybody knows how I feel about him. He would come in with the right idea, the right story, and I think he would be a world champion within the first year that he was in the company. But I don't know with everybody. So what do you think, sir?
I think this is a guy we never see in WWE. However, if he did, you'd have to make him the biggest star, in my opinion, because he's just too good. And his ideas are good. His execution is good. His wrestling's good. His look, the character, it's all there. It's perfect. It's ready. It's so good. I just think they let him be daddy at AEW. They let him do whatever he wants, and they give him full. He's not dealing with a writer's room full of people fighting for their job to have this next thing. He's not. There's no Vince at AEW who's going, I cut the legs from under him. He's getting too big. It's like, I just really think that there's no reason for him to ever leave AEW. At least the way it seems. At least the way things are ran now. But I think he would be the greatest. I think he'd be the greatest in any wrestling, anywhere he'd go.
It's interesting because Vince's business is established, right? So he can afford to be wrong from time to time and not listen to talent as he sees fit because it was the only show in town. But Tony is building his company up. They're still trying to find their rating. They don't want this to be their normal. And so he has to believe in and trust his talent and give them more rope and let them take bigger swings, so to speak, whether they're going to strike out or not. Because when they hit those home runs, people talk about the product. When they talk about the product, they get someone who tuned out to tune back in. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why when you say he gets to be daddy, he's in a position where he's helping build something. And until they get to a place where this is the business, he probably still gets to do that. And by the time they get there, he'll have so much credibility that I think they'd still let him do it. But his ideas are wild, man. And he doesn't miss often. It's crazy. Like the only one that maybe didn't smash was the early storyline with him and Jericho. But everything from Punk forward, or from Wardlow forward, really has just been superstar level, just superstar level. Even when he sings a dumb song and thinks he's Frank Sinatra, I don't care. He's awesome.
I wonder if he did that because everybody references that Rosie O'Donnell thing where he was like, I want to be an opera singer and a wrestler. So if they just let him do that, it looks like he made all of his dreams come true,
Yeah, no one can talk shit to him. That's probably
because
exactly
if you watch that, they
did.
go, well, he didn't become an opera singer. He did become a wrestler, but he didn't. And then now he's.
But he didn't get to sing.
Yeah, and now he did, and he's doing it in wrestling, so it's kind of fun.
That's probably why he probably had a big chip on his shoulder. All right, Britt Baker. Now, between the two main women there, Jade Cargill and Britt Baker, I think Britt is the better wrestler on the mic all around. She has more experience, obviously. I honestly think she would kill in WWE. She's everything that company wants in a wrestler. She is the total package. She has an awesome submission for her finisher. She's really good on the mic and she can get other people over. She's not the only one looking good out there. I really like Britt Baker. So I like Jade, but I don't think she would do as well over there. I think she would get lost in the hype and it would just be squash matches and like those Omos matches that only you like. But Britt, on the other hand, I think would be up there against Charlotte Flair and they would be wrestling back and forth for the world championship. What about you?
If anybody at WWE listens to this podcast, get your shit together with the women's wrestling division in WWE. It's absolutely embarrassing. I feel like they're not even trying or they don't care or something. I don't know like what's going on with it over there, but we've seen women's wrestling come a long way, right? We've from the Divas era to like now, like we've seen it. It has come a long way, but with the exception of like Rhea Ripley and Asuka, who gosh, I hope that they keep giving her these matches where she keeps crushing and she keeps looking like the menace that she is. She's doing really, really good. I keep thinking is like, we need more girls. We need better female wrestlers and more female wrestlers in WWE. And Britt Baker, I feel like the women's division is so small in AEW that Britt would have a lot to gain. She comes over, she'd be the main star, really shake things up. People would be talking about the women's wrestling division in WWE, which I don't feel like people generally do. They did kind of when Ronda Rousey came over. So I think bring them all over. Bring over Jade Cargill, bring over Britt Baker. Let's make the women's division in WWE something we want to cover each week on this podcast.
Well, then flip it. How do you think Charlotte Flair would do over in AEW? Would she help build that roster to the level it needs to go?
No. I think that it would be a bad idea for Charlotte Flair to come over, even though I know her husband's there and whatever, but she's aging.
Well, that would just make her happier. That wouldn't.
Hope so. Yeah, well, but I don't think it would help her career.
All right. This one I think is my best one because I feel like he would be a world champion and him and Max would have he would have a great story with anyone. So what about AJ Styles going to AEW? Agree, disagree, don't care. I think he would be the one if he went there.
Yeah, I could see that, but I mean, he's definitely.
You're not loving it though.
Well, he's definitely getting lost in WWE. Didn't you feel like that? He's kind of like.
That's why I'm saying. Yeah. I feel like if he left, people would go, "Oh yeah, that's why he's the man." Like because his matches are still top shelf.
Yeah, that'd be good. But yeah, he is lost in the shuffle over at WWE. Maybe he could become like the main guy. Does AEW feel like it runs very young?
I mean, everyone talks about the pillars, and they're young, but they've got veteran wrestlers.
Yeah, they got Billy Gunn, Sting.
I mean, they've got FTR, they've got CM Punk, Ricky Starks is no spring chicken.
Rhodes. Like, yeah, I mean, I guess AJ Styles.
He's a 10-year vet. Like they've got a lot of people.
He should consider that actually. I like that move.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's a smart move. It kind of like reinvents himself.
Revitalize.
Yeah, it's kind of like.
Yeah, reinvent, revitalize.
I like that.
A renaissance, a rebirth of AJ Styles. Yeah, man, I could see him going up against CM Punk in amazing freaking back and forth matches against MJF, against helping guys like Ricky Stark get to the next level. Anything like that. I've always loved AJ, and to see him kind of get not buried, but like you said, lost. That's a better way of saying it. It just sucks because his matches haven't lost a step. All right, here's I think is the hardest one to figure out. Bray Wyatt to AEW. They've got Luchasaurus, right, which is some weird supernatural stuff. They've got Malachi Black, which touches into like the darker realms of our imagination. But would someone like Bray Wyatt work in AEW, or is he a born and bred WWE guy? Kind of like Charlotte Flair being born and bred for WWE.
Yeah, I'm really thinking of this one because I love Bray Wyatt, and it sounds like he's returning soon to WWE. And they have screwed him over on so many of his ideas. And I don't think it was him. I really don't. I just can't believe that you hated the Uncle Howdy.
I wasn't a Howdy guy.
We loved The Fiend, which was great. I think Bray Wyatt can do no wrong. But maybe if he goes to AEW, the ideas are more well received, like MJF's. Like maybe they can just trust him and let him do all the kind of crazy, cool things that he does. So yeah, I think that maybe it'd be better if he tried AEW. See what they let him do.
It's interesting. I mean, he had a choice, right? And I don't want to talk about other people's business, but he obviously chose WWE for a reason. Mm-hmm. And so if they hadn't already agreed on a plan and an idea, then that's sort of on him. That's his fault. But a lot of times your contract doesn't mean anything if Vince doesn't like the idea. He'll just kill it.
Smash it, yeah.
And you get paid so much money that, you kind of, it gets easier to swallow a jagged pill. Although AEW pays a truckload of money too, man. They're no slouch with their paychecks. I have a hard time seeing the Fiend character work in AEW because there's just, I don't know. They don't have a history of that outside of Luchasaurus, whereas WWE, you can go, to Kane, to The Undertaker, to the Boogeyman. Like you can go back and there's always been something that's kind of, out of the realm of possibility. which is why I'm not a big Luchasaurus. I know you like Luchasaurus, but I'm not big on it because, like Darby said, what are you, a dinosaur? Like, are you dinosaur, bro? Like, what are you doing?
I was so afraid that CM Punk was going to do something like that. And it would ruin Luchasaurus. Like, because you know how real, CM Punk is and how, I could see him laughing, like, you're standing next to a guy who's dressed like a dinosaur. Like, you know what I'm saying? And, like, that is kind of what's fun about wrestling, that these things are what they are. But, like, I could see CM Punk making it not cool. And the fans going, yeah, he's right. Why is that guy dressed like a dinosaur? And so I was really afraid he was going to do that.
Now, to me, this is the easiest one that would never work. It just wouldn't work. Randy Orton to AEW. To me, there is nothing AEW about Randy. He is dyed in the wool, is the old expression. WWE. There is no changing that. I think is all the reasons people love him in WWE would be all the reasons that their fan base would end up hating him in AEW. I don't know why. I just don't see that ever working in any type of scenario. And it's not because he almost broke my back with an inverted modified backbreaker, you son of a bitch. What about you, dude?
I agree. I mean, he's just as WWE as it gets. He is a big star, mainstream kind of wrestler. Although I never thought I'd see Chris Jericho over at AEW. You know, I know he made it, but sometimes a person comes out on AEW and I go, oh yeah, I guess that it works. Like it works here, it worked there. You know, like Cesaro is crushing it over there. So I think Randy Orton is good enough and amazing enough that he would work anywhere. But he's such a WWE guy.
Yeah, it'd be like seeing Kobe Bryant in a Chicago Bulls jersey. Like, it would just be weird. It just doesn't. There's some people that have to be lifers. They have to be, and it makes it more special. The fact that Kobe played for one team is awesome. You know, Larry Bird played for one team. I know he coached for another, but that doesn't count. Played for one team, like stayed loyal. It was weird when D Wade left and then just went right back to Miami. Yeah. Like, it was like, you shouldn't have left in the first place.
Those things are hard to control, though.
Some people shouldn't leave.
Yeah, but there's something. It's hard to be so lucky to get to play for the Yankees your whole career. You know, it's like sometimes the Yankees don't want you, and so like Derek Jeter, he's lucky, or like Kobe Bryant is like they're talented mixed with lucky. You know, sometimes Vince just doesn't like you. You go, hey, that would be a better fit over here than at AEW, but Vince just won't take me. So it's hard to do. It takes a little bit of luck and a lot of skill, but I think that Orton it's definitely. What's the expression you used? I've never heard that before, but I like it.
Dyed in the wool.
I love that. I like that for.
That's old. That sounds old.
That's probably
my grandpa taught me that.
But it's true. You know, it's like Cowboy Bob. His dad was like, you know, the WWF guy, and then he was in the business forever. And he still comes to Randy's matches if it's a pay-per-view. He says he still watches it at home with his dogs. Like he watches his boy on TV every day. It's like they're such WWE guys. And I mean, Cowboy Bob was doing it. He saw Vince grow up.
Quick side quest. Cowboy Bob was involved in the Plan B scandal.
What's the Plan B scandal?
For those of you who, you got to YouTube this. You got to YouTube Bob Orton Plan B. And it's a video that a group of wrestlers made back in the 70s, threatening to expose the business to this promoter if the business that they were supposed to have done didn't go the way it was supposed to go. And they straight up on camera give up all the secrets of the business, how they bleed, their fake voices. I'm not really from Russia, but I do great voices and all this stuff. And it sounds more like Scottish than Russian.
While he's bragging about how good he is at doing it.
Yeah. But they exposed the whole business, and this video is out there. I don't know how nobody's tried to get it taken down that's involved with this, but Bob Orton is one of the people in Plan B, and you will recognize plenty of other wrestlers in there too. It's super hardcore, man, and I don't know why it doesn't get talked about more often. All right,
I definitely got to see that,
people. All right, finally, and I have the pitch for it, so it's not just going to sound completely arbitrary when I'm done. But Powerhouse Hobbs to WWE, and I know that's like, well, if Freddie, he's kind of a mid card dude to lower mid card dude. Why would we care? But I would say the resurrection of Bobby Lashley under the microphone skills of MVP were something that was really cool. And it allowed Bobby to get comfortable and eventually kind of find his personality on his own time instead of the forced time that live television demands, because all the pressure is on his manager, to the point now where Bobby is trying to put other people over in a similar manner to the way MVP put him over. I think someone like MVP could benefit Hobbs at a massive level. I don't love all the managers in AEW. They tend to make it more about them than the talent, and their personalities are very sort of look at me. And MVP is sort of a master at deferring credit and deferring shine, even on someone like Omos. Like, he's never talking about himself. He's always just reminding you who this monster is. And I think he could do wonders with Powerhouse Hobbs. Hobbs has the body. Hobbs is legit strong and can really make the moves look great. And if he's not that great on the mic, who better than MVP to help get that dude over? What do you think about my plan?
Yeah, I think Hobbs is one of these guys, too, who could be a star anywhere. Like, he's got the great body. He's got the great thing. The great look.
Face, too. Great face.
He's almost 300 pounds. I don't know how old he is.
Same. Me too.
Is he old or young?
Him and I are about the same age, like 28, 29.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, if he's 28 or 29, then plenty of time. Plenty of time for him.
Yeah, just like me.
I think he could be great. I don't know. I know such little about him. Like, you said he's not great on the mic.
He's not all the way there, but I've definitely seen him have good moments.
Well, Bobby Lashley is forming some sort of group potentially with our boys,
the Street Profits.
Yes, the Street Profits had a little meeting with Bobby Lashley in a stretch SUV. So maybe he brings over Powerhouse Hobbs. They start this badass new nation of domination, if you will. I've been wanting to see that. I've been trying to plant that seed.
You love the nation, bro.
We're putting it in the universe.
I'm putting it in the universe. And we're putting out love to all our awesome listeners in the universe. Don't forget to tune in to Unsanctioned Thursdays every Thursday, the show that only exists because of you guys, because of your awesomeness. Keep sharing the show. Thank you so much. On behalf of Jeff Jackpot Die, I'm Freddie Prinze Jr., and this is Wrestling with Friends. Peace.
Follow us on Instagram, Wrestling with Freddie. Twitter is WWFreddie Pod. Follow us on all the socials so you can submit your questions for the Federation.
This has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura Podcast Network. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.